If you saw my last post about the Garden of Eden, then you're going to really enjoy this post. This is about the Tree of Life, and I'm exploring how the Tree of Life is actually a metaphor for trauma healing and ego integration in the Eden story. Welcome, sacred souls. I'm sending you all such deep love and appreciation for your presence here today. We are exploring one of the most misunderstood stories in spiritual traditions, the Garden of Eden, and how it actually mirrors the journey of trauma healing, nervous system repair, and ego integration. The Eden story is actually not about sin. It is about consciousness. It's about what happens when our human nervous system leaves safety and must find its way back home. And the Tree of Life stands at the center of this teaching. All right, take a breath with me. Let your awareness settle into your body. Allow yourself to arrive. The Tree of Life represents wholeness. It appears in the center of the garden. This matters because symbolically the center represents the true self, integrated consciousness, a regulated nervous system, inner union, the connection between earth, body, and heaven, spirit. In almost every mystical tradition, the Tree of Life is the symbol of wholeness, the stage of original blessing. In psychological terms, we could say the Tree of Life is the fully integrated self. It is you before trauma shaped your adaptations. It is the you beneath survival patterns. It is the you that never left. All right, the Tree of Knowledge, the birth of ego and survival patterns. The second tree in the Garden of Eden is the Tree of Knowledge of good and evil. This is the moment that duality enters the picture, the moment the nervous system learns about danger, the moment the self splits into two, acceptable and unacceptable parts, protector parts, exiled parts that are motivated by shame, fear, and self-judgment. In many ways, the fall from Eden is the same thing that happens in childhood when we lose connection to safety. We experience a harsh word, a frightened moment, an emotional neglect, a violation of a boundary, being shamed for needs, feelings, and authenticity. Just like Adam and Eve, we begin hiding. We cover the vulnerable parts of ourselves. We create a false self to survive. This is not sin. It is adaptation. It is the ego doing its job. You were born whole, but then you experienced forgetting because you experienced being harmed, leaving the garden as a metaphor for trauma. When the text says that Adam and Eve were cast out, that is the ancient way of describing emotional deregulation. It is the disconnection from the wholeness of the self. It is a disconnection from the body. It is living in anxiety, in hypervigilance, in collapse, or in pleasing. It is feeling separate from the divine within. In trauma healing, we see this all the time. It's when your nervous system is overwhelmed and you can't feel the wholeness of the Tree of Life. You can't feel your inherent goodness. You can't feel your connection to the divine within. You haven't lost it. You've just lost access to it. So what is the journey back? It is ego integration. The entire biblical story across all its books is the journey back to the Tree of Life. It is getting back to heaven. It is not a metaphysical heaven. It is heaven within yourself. And that journey models modern psychology. The serpent is the unconscious. The exile is the trauma. The wanderings are the survival years. The return is integration. And the Tree of Life, or heaven, reappears in Revelation as a symbol of healed consciousness. In trauma healing, the same thing happens. We return to embodied safety. We repair the nervous system. We bring home the fragmented parts. We lift shame. We reconnect to intuition, inner guidance, and divine presence inside the body, and we experience peace and ease, and we're able to love more openly. Ego integration is not about destroying the ego. It is about healing it. It is about witnessing it. It is about experiencing the contrast so that we can bring it back into right relationship with the soul. This is spiritual maturity. So Eden was never lost. You were never cast out of Eden. Here's the most important thing. It wasn't destroyed. We simply left its awareness. And the tree of life was never removed. You're not going to be condemned to suffer in hell for eternity. That is just a state of consciousness where you have forgotten the heaven within. And it is still planted in the center of your being. Every moment of healing, every breath of self-compassion, every time you choose truth over people-pleasing, every time you regulate your nervous system and respond from calm instead of reactivity, fear, hate, and anger, you step back into the garden. You remember your original wholeness. You remember that God is consciousness and that the divine within you never left. If this speaks with you, stay tuned. We're going to continue exploring how ancient stories hold the blueprint for trauma repair, sovereignty, and embodied awakening. Take one last breath with me. Into the center. Into the heart. Into the tree of life within you, the divine within you. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in my next video. And if you are called to deepen your journey of self-healing and remembering your inner divinity and the healing integration from a psychological perspective, I hope you'll consider reading my book, The Divine Within, Healing Ourselves to Heal the World. It does bridge spirituality, psychology, and neuroscience and offers a step-by-step guide of how to rebalance yourself and heal yourself so that you can remember and return to that inner state of peace that you experienced the moment you breathed life.